Hello, friends. Welcome to day 4 on this journey of learning from the world's leading experts in confinement. And today follows conversations I had yesterday. My day was filled with these wonderful conversations with loved ones. And in a couple of them, friends expressed the challenges that they're facing right now with all the shifts and the adaptability that's necessary in this season. And I got excited to be able to share this story with you because this is really one of the most really incredible examples that we have been a witness to in dealing with the ups and downs that happen in life. Because the fact of the matter is, over the past few weeks, we've had to deal with almost daily changes in this new reality with the confinement and the stay at home, shelter at home, lockdown, whichever situation you might be, and continuously adapting to that. And at one point, wherever you are on this journey, there is hopefully a place where you start settling into kind of this, finding your balance in this new environment, and things start feeling a little bit more easeful. And then, unfortunately, or as I say sometimes, fortunately, uh, things start getting hard again for whatever reason. There might be an instigating event or there might not, and things start getting hard. And this up and down kind of journey of life is, ebb and flow is a natural part of the life journey. And so I invite us, first of all, to not be fighting against it, because it is just the normal way of growing. And also I invite us to recognize that often, as we've said, the greatest gifts come in our greatest challenges. And so when things start getting tough, there's another lesson, another layer to be peeling away if we invite ourselves into that journey. And I think this is a perfect example of that, because needless to say, in prison, that ebb and flow exists as well. I, from my humble perspective, feel that often the prison residents have much greater swings because their highs tend to be nicely high, but their lows can be incredibly low. And so they have that roller coaster of emotions. And we've observed in our team that for some reason that we haven't explored, around the 4-year mark of incarceration, many of the prison residents seem to just have a really deep low, as if they come to a deeper realization of what's actually happening in their lives. They struggle with, why me? Really questioning themselves and understanding that journey. They start realizing that had they made other choices, they could maybe not be in the situation that they're in right now. And the guilt and the shame of that is really strong. They also recognize what they're going to miss out for a long period of their life, and some of them the rest of their lives, especially their kids growing up. And they also start realizing how much they profoundly hurt their loved ones, their victims, and so many other people. And all that creates one heck of a cocktail. And during that phase, some of the guys just disappear. And they isolate themselves and they separate themselves from the very people who actually could support them. And even for those who don't physically isolate themselves, they emotionally isolate themselves, maybe being in the same physical space, but with no emotional attachment, with even a passive aggressive attitude. And as we've observed the different residents move through different phases of that, of the ebb and the flow, and several through this one particular episode that we've identified as being particularly challenging, one guy in particular shows up for us as the absolute gold standard as to how to move through this. And before walking through his example, I just want to say that this guy is just like the rest of us. So often when we hear about these miracle stories, we think that this person might have had a particular situation that made it more easeful for them, that they had more perseverance, more will, more I don't know what. And I'll tell you, this guy, no, he in this dimension is very much an average Joe. And if anything, he actually is at a disadvantage, because he said that he struggled with depression. And as we know, depression in a dark spot is not the easiest thing to overcome. This man was also a life without the possibility of parole, what we call an LWOP, and meaning that the sentence he'd received said that he was going to spend the rest of his life in prison and even die in prison. And that's what he was coming to grips with at this time, just really realizing the permanence of his situation. And as he was, so he was part of our team, and when this started shifting in him, we really recognized, we saw the change in him, because he would come into our circles with a massive, dark, thundering cloud over his head. It was palpable. And what I so admired with him is that he had the courage to recognize that he had a cloud over his head. And then he came to us and he said, you know what, I'm going through some really tough times right now. And he started kind of guiding us on how to best, engage with him. And so much so that some days he would show up and say, today, I ask that you don't ask me anything. And and that was great to us, because to us, what we were grateful for is that he recognized that in our circle, he could show up in any state that he was at. People don't have to be in a light, happy, brilliant state to be showing up in the brilliance inside space. No, it's about showing up in the truth of who we are. And he had the courage to do that. He also helped us understand what his boundaries were, to make sure that we were engaging with him in a way that actually supported him and didn't work against him. And the whole time he stayed really connected, and recognizing that it is by continuing to move through this darkness, and it's not by avoiding it or pretending it's not there or pushing it away, that he was going to move through it. He had to really kind of just engage in life as with his dark cloud, and to recognize that this was going to pass. And pass it did. It took a little time. And he said on top of that, he really kind of struggled with some depression in the midst of it. But just, it did pass. And he was able to come out the other side with kind of a stronger awareness and realization about who he is, and the reality of the fact that he most likely wasn't going to be at his parents' funerals, that he was going to miss out on so much of his kids' lives and upbringing, and all the other birthdays and Christmases and celebrations that he was going to be missing. And he was able to step into the acceptance of that and redefine a new way of living and a new way of engaging with those things from the truth and the reality that he was in. And that's possible for all of us, because I truly believe that if he can do it, so can I, and so can most of us, if not all of us. And so I invite you to take the lessons from this one really beautiful prison resident, that this gold standard, and to recognize that when you find yourself falling into a hole, having a cloud over your head, that first have the self-awareness to recognize that you are in that hole, or that you do have the cloud over your head, and recognize that that's okay. Do not run away. Do not pretend it's not there. As much as sometimes it feels easier to not deal with these emotions, the fact of the matter is they're much more likely to fester and to transform into hurts or even traumas if we don't allow them and give them a space. Share that situation with your loved ones and the people you trust around you, making it clear to them that it is no one's responsibility to fix this. Okay? Trying to fix this kind of situation can sometimes lead to more difficulty than actually easefulness. And that their best way to support is just to embrace the whole of you in whichever vocabulary that feels right. And then don't forget to set those boundaries. Very important. We too often assume that the others have to be able to know how to treat us. They can't. And so it's our responsibility to guide the people around us as to what is the best way to engage with us in that time. So set those boundaries and honor those boundaries. And with those boundaries, stay very connected with the people that make you feel loved, that make you feel supported, and with whom you can feel that you can be yourself. And remember that this too shall pass. This, coronavirus situation will pass. This shelter at home, safe at home, lockdown situation shall pass. Whatever might be going on in our lives, it will pass. And we will be able to come out the other side stronger and more resilient because of how we will have allowed ourselves to engage with that challenge and grow through it. So allow this prison resident to be an example for you, so you can also have the courage and the humility to move through the darkness, recognize the gift that might exist in that darkness, and do so with dignity for yourself and others, and hopefully with a little more ease. Until tomorrow, I wish you a beautiful, beautiful day.